Good evening, friends. Let us begin with the prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great Masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, beloved Guru Deva, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. We ask thy presence at our satsang. May we be filled with thy love and joy and uplifted into thy light. Om Shanti, Shanti. We'll begin with the hymn to Brahma. Good evening again, friends. It's really a joy to be with all of you. Tonight's topic is Sow Seeds of Faith, and it's a very important topic on the spiritual path because often we may get discouraged, we may get a bit down, we may not feel that we're making progress, we may not feel that we are going forward in our spiritual lives, and faith is a pillar along the path that keeps us strong in ourselves and that helps us to make it to our goal. And I was thinking this morning as I was walking over at the beautiful Ananda village here where I am for the next couple of months, what takes people on pilgrimages to holy spots, what takes people to go to healing or healers, what takes people to maybe Kumbh Mela? Why do people bathe in the Ganges? Why do people do puja and arati and go to holy saints for darshan and blessings? It is because they have faith. Faith that God will answer their prayer, is hearing their prayer. And their efforts along with God's grace, their prayers along with God's grace is what helps them to deal with every situation or that particular situation in their life. And in India, I've seen so beautifully shrines and so many places, temples everywhere, mandirs. I've seen in the taxis and everyone, in every car that I've been in, there's a deity, someone that driver is praying to, and maybe the passenger. I've prayed many times in the taxis in India. And so, but you see images of God everywhere. And that really is strengthening people's faith. And I was thinking that Master's equation that he gave of God and Guru's help to the devotee is very important to remember. He said that our efforts are 25% of the path, or whatever it is we're trying to deal with or overcome. 25% is the Guru's Shakti, or power, that is coming into the disciple to help them, his magnetism, his guidance, his light. And 50% is the grace and the power of God. And so 75% of anything that we're trying to do in our life is coming from grace. And the 25% of our efforts is really our efforts with faith, that we can draw that 75% of Guruji's help and of God's grace. There's a beautiful story of a saint a master in fact, who was with one of his disciples. And many of us have, we have wavering faith, we could say. We're building our faith to be like granite. But this disciple was on the other side of a river, and his guru was calling to him, and he looked at him and he just said, "Come." And the disciple, I love what Swamiji says, Master, in the Gita, Essence of the Bhagavad Gita. He said other people may have started looking for a boat, or they may have tried to start swimming, but this disciple, looking into the face of his guru with so much faith and devotion. Devotion brings more faith. He put one foot on the water, and a lotus flower came up under his foot and held him. And then he placed the other foot, and another lotus flower came. And he walked on top of the water until he reached his guru. And so his guru's grace and blessings and power were drawing him to him. And he didn't think about it. He just went with his master. And I think it's a beautiful story, if we can walk on water or not. It's a beautiful story of how, if we cultivate faith, we can do things that we can't do on our own. There was a man who had diabetes, that a story Yoganandaji told often, and this man had been given 3 months to live. And so every day he meditated. He didn't waste his time. He didn't worry. Wasn't fearful. He sat on his bed and he meditated as much as he could. In the beginning, he couldn't meditate that long because of the pain and the illness. But his prayer was, "Lord, come into this broken temple." And that was like a mantra for him. And then every day, the time gradually got longer that he could sit and he could meditate and he could pray, "Lord, come into this broken temple." And then 3 months passed, and he was still there. He hadn't died. He kept praying to God, and he kept meditating. And then 6 months passed, 9 months, a year, and he kept his sadhana strong. 3 years passed, and he was still alive, praying, calling to God with faith, "Come into this broken temple." And then suddenly his whole body his whole being was filled with light, and he was healed. And he said to God, "I didn't ask you to heal me. I just asked that you would come into this broken temple." And he had a vision of God, and God said, "Where my light dwells, no darkness can be there." And I think it's so important for all of us to not lapse on our prayers and lapse on our meditation and lapse on our energization and lapse on service. And then I see people focusing on the problems. And they say, "Oh, Dhyana, I just can't do this, I can't do that." And I said, "Well, are you praying about this? And usually the answer is, I didn't really. Well, we can't expect the results if we don't put the energy out. And I remember a wonderful soul here at Ananda Village many years back. She was one of my dearest friends. I've told this story on some of the programs before, but it's worth telling again. Her name was Happy. What a beautiful name. She named herself Happy. Her real name was Carol. But her affirmation was, I am in God's joy all the time. And so she became very ill. She actually had AIDS. And this was 25 or 30 years ago. And she called Swami Kriyanandaji. And I loved Swami's answer to her. She said, Swamiji, the doctor says I won't live very long. I don't know if I'll find God. What should I do? And Swamiji said, don't go into the consciousness of the disease. Now we can use that for anything in our life. Don't go into the consciousness of fears. Don't go into the consciousness of your worries. Don't go into the consciousness of things that are pulling you down, of negativity, of things that aren't working. Don't go there. Swamiji said, strengthen yourself. I love that answer. He said, strengthen your sadhana, do more kriyas. She did 108 kriyas 2 times a day. She energized twice a day. She chanted as much as she could. She wrote chants. She got in her car and drove herself around America teaching people, chanting and master's affirmations. She did affirmations every day. She strengthened herself. She developed faith. And in a year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. What a beautiful story. This is the life of a devotee, of a disciple, of a yogi. 10 years she lasted. And I was there when she passed away a day before. And her body was all, finished, you could see. But her spirit was aglow. And I took her hand, and she still had faith. It's such a touching story. And I said, Happy, if you know I'm here, squeeze my hand. And she squeezed my hand. It's like faith. I know God is there. And I think for all of us, if we can strengthen ourselves, who doesn't go through tests? I've been through 1 billion tests. Who cares about them? I'm grateful. And I see people who are just complaining all the time, and I say, I can't do it. And you just weaken yourself more and more with that attitude. But if you every day make every day I'm stronger than yesterday. My mind is strong. My body is strong. My will is strong. My thoughts are strong. And I know with that strength, that master and these gurus, they're there. Where are we? Is the question. And so if we strengthen ourselves, master, he has to help you. He's there to help you. I remember a story of Dr. Lewis. And Dr. Lewis, once he didn't do it, but someone closed his hand in the car door as he was getting in. And excruciating pain. I mean, who hasn't been through pain in one way or another? And someone went and told Master. Master was upstairs, and Master told him this. I'll tell this to you. He said, tell him, don't look at it. What a great answer. Don't look at it. Because people go, oh my God, what's good? Oh, and they worry themselves that they're in the hospital. They go to the doctor or they're dead. One of the 3. So he said, tell him, don't look at it. And Master secretly was healing Dr. Lewis. And Dr. Lewis put his hand in his pocket, and he just didn't give it any energy. And then in a couple of days, it was healed. It was healed. And so faith is something, if you're not, Faith is My Armor is a book written by Daviji about Swamiji's life. And what a great topic. It's my armor. That I have faith that God and the gurus can bring me out of anything. And in Ananda, India, my God, I mean, we started a whole work there 13 years ago with Swamiji, and there were all kinds of things that had to happen. One by one, they have happened. Swamiji's vision is happening in India. And I recall not even having an ashram when we had started our Pune retreat and community and in Gurgaon. I remember it took me to the 11th hour looking for an ashram. I was about to sign on another place. It wasn't that good, but it was okay. I mean, we were willing to live there. And then the day I was going to sign for this place, and I mean, I had been praying. It wasn't like I was sitting with my feet on the desk. I had been praying to Master, is this the place you want? And the day I was going to sign, that morning I went to the temple, and it was the day after a Kriya. I was praying all through the Kriya, and then I was praying after the Kriya. The next morning I said, Master, I don't have any answer. Is this what you want? Nothing. And then I went home to the ashram, and on my phone was a long list of messages and calls. Don't sign anything. We have a place for you, and that's the ashram that we have now. That was like the last minute, and I think Divine Mother has fun. She just sees how they're going to break, which way they're going to go. Like when Yoganandaji found his Mount Washington. Master had a vision of Mount Washington. It wasn't like he thought, well, this is a nice place, this hotel. He walked on the grounds and he said, this place is ours. I mean, what the strongest faith in the world. And then he even had the nerve, I could say that way, to bring all the students and say, this place is yours now. And the place cost $65,000, and he didn't have any money, but he just knew, this is the thing you've got to know, that Divine Mother, she can do anything. So he said, it's our place, and God will help us. And so one lady, one of the students, says, take you 20 years to get this place. And Master said, 20 years? For those who think 20 years. 3 years for those who think 3 years. And he needed the money in 3 months. He said 3 months for those who think 3 months. And with the will of iron, this is the thing, you have to build your will. Master called everybody. I mean, he fundraised. You can get that? He fundraised for Mount Washington. He called the people. He asked them if they could help. And then it got to the last $5,000 that he needed. I mean, before that, he was about to sign a contract for $65,000. And he said, Divine Mother held my hand. My hand froze because the money, it came down by $20,000. So he was able to get it for 40. I mean, I love these stories. I hope you're reading these books every day. I just read them and I laugh with joy because this is the life that Divine Mother and Master have given us. And so Master was down to the last $5,000 and he said, I was battling with God about that money. How many people battle with God? You know, they say, is anybody there? Okay, I guess it doesn't work. You have to battle. He said, I was battling. I said, Divine Mother, how are you going to give me that money? I need it. And he had like a day or something left and nothing was happening. And then he says so sweetly, I think Divine Mother likes to keep my life interesting. And so he just kept asking and kept calling people. And then at the 11th hour, in fact, late, a lady came who had the rest of the money, and she gave the money. And I love it how Swamiji writes in the path. Master said, the drama was over. You know, our life is full of drama. The drama was over, and the place was ours. But I tell that story so you know, even an avatar, he could have materialized the place. but how would we gain our own faith and strength? And so if you read the lives of the saints, they went through a lot to do whatever they had to do, to be examples that we too have to strive to seek God and to help God and to find God. And I was remembering this beautiful story of a man who, a saint, and I can't remember quite his name, quite what his name was, but he was coming to America. I'm sure some of you know his name. And he was on a ship, and he was an Indian. He was a saint and maybe a master even. And he was coming to teach. And someone asked him, they saw he was this, I think he was a Swami, yes he was. And someone asked, well, do you have friends in America? And he said, no, first they asked, is somebody supporting you in America? He said, no. Well, do you know anybody in America? He said, no. I mean, that's an extreme faith. He said, well, do you have any friends in America? And he said, yes, one. And I said, well, who is he? He said, you. He said, you. And that man ended up supporting his whole campaign, his whole lecture tour. And so let's see, behind everything and everyone, it's God. And it's Divine Mother trying to let us know that she wants to help us, that she's there to help us. But we have to gain that faith and devotion and strength ourselves and open ourselves to the blessings. I went to get my employment visa, which is one reason why I came here to America, another 5-year visa. And I went last week. And so as I was going, I went with Uber. I mean, we have Ola and Uber in India, and over here we have Uber. So I, the whole morning, because it's very kind of stressful to go to these offices. So that whole morning as I was praying to God and gurus, I just thought, everybody there is my friend. What a wonderful affirmation. Instead of, oh my God, what's going to happen? I just thought, everybody there is my friend. Because really, for 11 years, I've gone to those offices, and it's no fun. So I get in the car with the driver, and I was in Berkeley, and it's about 40 minutes to San Francisco where I had to go. And the man was from Gurgaon. Now, would you believe that? So, because he said, now, where are you from? And I said, oh, I'm here, but I live in India. And he said, well, where do you live in India? And he said, well, around Delhi, because I didn't know he would know Gurgaon. He didn't look clearly like he was Indian. And I said, well, and he said, well, where, around Delhi? I said, actually, I live in Gurgaon. He said, no, I live in Gurgaon. And I'm working on my Hindi, as many of you know, so I practiced with him on the whole way, so he was my friend. I mean, it was wonderful. Then I got to the visa office, and I got there, and I just, in my affirmation, everybody is my friend here. So I went up to the desk, and there was a young black guy, and he was just so kind, and I just thought, this man is my friends. I had to go through a lot of different things with my application. This was wrong, and I had to redo this, and so I'm a bit techie, but not a whole lot. So I kept calling the man to help me, and but I was doing the best I could, and then I kept calling him, and at a certain point, how in India we call people bhaiya, brother. Can you help me? And I just started calling, brother, can you help me? And he was gone. It was the sweetest thing. But I just knew Divine Mother would open the way. And the lady who interviewed me, everybody was very kind. Because in my heart, I felt everyone is my friend. And I have faith that Divine Mother and the Masters will help me. And so there's much more I would love to share. There's not a whole lot of time left, but one thing I want to say is, in your faith, go one step beyond your experience. Faith comes from experience. It's not, I believe it. Like there was a man who saw this, he was staying somewhere, and he looked outside his window, and he said, there's a big mountain there. And he said, that you will be gone tomorrow. He said he had faith that God would remove the mountain. Next morning he woke up, I knew you would still be there. So that's not really what we're speaking of. And you have to use common sense. And also there were some ladies who left their car unlocked all the time, and Master kept telling them, you need to lock your car. People will steal things. No, Ma, you're protecting us. And he said, no, I'm not. He said, no, I'm not. It's up to you. I mean, you have to use common sense. So they left their car unlocked with faith, and some very expensive paintings were taken out of the car. So don't go to extremes. I will reason, I will, I will act, but guide thou my reason, will, and activity in the right things in every action. So we use our energy and our will, and we couple that with the divine. The last story I'll share with you, which is one of my favorites, it's from Master's book. I think it's Mejda, but I'm not quite sure. I think it is Mejda. And Master Mukunda, as a boy, would meditate long hours, all night. And once he told one of his little friends that if they meditated all night, that Krishna would come. And we've had all-night meditations there in Gurgaon on Janmashtami, on Krishna's birthday. And it feels very much like Krishna comes. And so the Master told his friend, well, Krishna will come, we just, keep our focus and meditate and call and pray to Krishna. And the little boy says, no, he's not going to come in. So Master is like, he just sits there for, many hours, the whole night. And he's praying to Krishna, and his devotion is so strong. And suddenly Krishna appears. I think probably every day, many times, Krishna, all the masters appeared to Yoganandaji. Divine Mother was with him all the time. And so the other boy was asleep by then. Sorahete, he was sleeping. And so Master says, wake up, Krishna's here. And the boy says, no, I don't see anybody. And Master touched him. And the boy had the vision of Krishna as well. And they both were in bliss. This is the way to go. Hold on to your faith. Hold on to your devotion. Don't let anybody take it from you. Don't let any situation take it from you. Know that God is ever there. And this story shows if you hold on with faith, with devotion, with love, with your heart open, that God and the Masters will never leave you. And I don't want to say that they will come. They're always there. Where are we? They will never leave your side. And I want to read something from Yoganandaji to close this morning. These are Master's words. Enthrone peace and joy in your heart. Feel joy no matter whom you meet or what you do. If you can do this, though the universe shatters to nothingness or your body is torn by trials, you will find him dancing in your memory always. Hold on to your spiritual treasure of joy. Culture it by instilling it in others' hearts. Never surrender your joy to the robbers of worry or selfishness. Hold on to joy, no matter if death frowns at your door or your own subconscious mind tells you all is lost. Drown all noises with the silence of your invincible joy, and you will feel God reigning on the altar of every thought and feeling. You will find that evil and misery were your own dream creations. You slept and dreamt a nightmare of evil. You wake in God, and feel only joy and virtue existing everywhere. God bless you all. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.